Okay, let me introduce myself a little bit. As mentioned, I'm Rowdy, I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a freelance web and app developer. I'm also, as Christian mentioned, the lead developer of a Nationale Nederlanden pension app, a great big insurance company in the Netherlands. And we build it with NativeScript. And in relation to NativeScript, I'm also a progress developer expert. That means that I help people around, starting with NativeScript, and also talk about NativeScript on various conferences. You can find me on Twitter at Rowdy Rabouw. And I want you to remember this one, browser APIs, because I need your participation later on. So please make sure you have your phone ready to tweet something to @browser APIs. And as you might see on the screen, I also love superhero movies. Fortunately, this one has never come to effect, because this is Nicolas Cage in 1997 trying out for a Tim Burton Superman movie, and I think it would be horrible. He did Ghost Rider later on. Unfortunately, most of the time he was in flames, so that's okay. I'm going to show you a few of the browser APIs that are available. And I've linked them to superheroes. So in this case, Thor. He's the god of thunder and lightning. Well, I think something with lightning and electricity, the battery status API. It can be very useful. It gives you information about the status of your battery. And I don't know if you can see it all, but on the right-hand side for you below is how good it is supported in each browser. So for this, it's not really well supported. It's in Chrome. It's on Chrome on Android and Samsung Internet on the right-hand side. But it gives you nice things like the battery charge level or the expected time of charging, of discharging. And you can also hook into events. What can you do with that? Well, you can turn off or on energy inefficient operations when a user is visiting your website, for instance. So if it's on a battery that's almost dying, you can maybe skip some animations. Or if it's charging and it's almost 100% or something like that, you can give him that full experience. So how do you access that battery API? Well, step one is, if you see it's not widely supported, check if it's supported with this statement. And then you can go on and say, well, get me the battery, and you get a promise back in which you can get these things like, is it charging? How much time will it be left charging? Is it discharging? And what's the level? And you can hook into events to act on that. So in this case, you can see my battery is now, was at 84%, and I plugged it in and it's now at 85% and charging. Oh, it's 86%. And if I remove my charger, then it said it's changed to infinity seconds. Yeah, it's not perfectly, unfortunately, but if I plug it in again, it still remains, well, it was discharging, now it's still charging again. Let's move on to this woman, the black canary. You don't want her in your room because you can create ultrasonic vibrations from her mouth that will severely damage organic objects. Not my kind of girl, sorry. Which brings me to the web audio API, which you can use to process or synthesize audio. And since HTML5, we all know this one. That's the basic example. But it's really easy to play some music, for instance, on your website. Don't do autoplay. And let's see if audio is working. That's what my girlfriend said last night. I agree. So how can you do other things with the web audio. First, you create something that's called an audio context. And you hook that one up to an oscillator. And then after that comes the more important stuff, like which frequency do I want this sound to be? And you choose a type of oscillator. I like music, but I don't have any idea about what the difference is between sine, square, or sawtooth, so I just chose one. And after that, you have to connect it and start the sound. If you don't stop it, it will continue always. So make sure you also stop it. And in this case, I say, well, run it for 2 seconds. And it uses its own internal clock. So if you want to make music with web audio, don't rely on set timeout or something like that. Use the own internal clock. So if you put it all together, you have something like this. And the first one, the low one, that's with the 90 hertz. So be aware of your ears. And you can go up higher, of course. That's nice, right? Let's see if somebody has super hearing. So I will run the super high. Oh. Anyone? No? That's cool, because this was 40 kilohertz, and that's twice as much as we can possibly hear. So you would be either lying or be a superhuman or an X-Man or something like that. Or a dog or a cat or a bat. True. There are also awesome other things you can do with web audio. It also supports MIDI. And switch over to another browser. And you can do stuff like having a drum machine. Many years ago, when I was around 18, so that's way too long ago, I used to be a DJ, but I didn't have this fancy stuff. I only could play records of other people. So you can just do stuff like this. And switch around. Give it some vibe. Make it acoustic. So this is all web audio. You don't have to do any fancy stuff. Well, only programming it, of course, but it's all in the browser. I can try to do this, my own, but no. So let's continue with another API. Remember this one? It's the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four, the good movie, not the last one. Okay, the less bad one then. Yeah. If you want to, I still have an MP4 file of the 1991. If you want a real sucky one, watch that one. And it's freely available on YouTube, so no problem. Doesn't mean that it's okay, but what's her power? Well, she can get invisible. And that refers to the page visibility API. You can determine whether a document or, say, a tab is visible in the browser at that point. What can you do with that? Well, you can check whether it's visible, like I said, but you can also check whether it's still rendering or it's not loaded yet. But the more important thing is that you can listen to events. And if you listen to the visibility change, you can see whether someone skipped the tab or not. We all like auto-playing videos, right? And continuing when you want to look something up in another tab of your browser. So let me show you a little example. It says here, visibility is visible. Yeah, that's true, because we're having it here. So if I play a little video of a fight between the Invisible Woman and Dr. Doom. Wait, what? Marco Polo? She's Invisible Woman, right? But he's referring to a game called Marco Polo. And if you want to look that up, you can switch tabs and you hear the sound stop, right? So if I go look at Marco Polo, it said, well, the player who is it shouts Marco and the other players must respond by shouting Polo. Okay, but he did it all himself, so he didn't play it right, but we now know what Marco Polo means. So if I go back, I just can continue watching it. And you see that it said there it's hidden and it's returned to visible again. And she's having a hard time. Okay, let's go to this guy. That's Groot. Let him introduce himself. Hi, Groot. And it brings me to the speech synthesis API. That's a really nice word for a non-English speaker. Which means, yeah, I'll leave it over to you. Which means that you can control the voice that's used to speak out text, and also the pronunciation, also a nice word, and the rate and the pitch. So how can you do that? First, you have to get a speech synthesis, and after that, you can ask at that synth. I will call it synth now. You can ask which voices are available, and it will return an array. Then you can instantiate a speech synthesis utterance. I don't know who made these specifications, but and you pass the text you want to hear from the browser. And in this case, I want to select the Google UK English male voice because I thought it resembles Groot the most. Remember that everything starting with a Google is only available if you are online and running it in a Chrome browser, because it will get extra voices from the internet. You set the pitch and rate, and you said, well, speak, please. And that's what you heard saying, I'm Groot. But you can also do things here like I want to have a Dutch guy saying, let's go for Anna.
Guten Abend, Düsseldorf.
I'm not sure how a Dutch guy would pronounce it. That's not good, right? But if you look here, I just did give me all the voices available. And you can do fun stuff with that, saying, well, where is, let's say, Fiona?
I'm drunk.
Well, she doesn't sound drunk, right? But maybe we can make her more drunk.
I'm drunk.
She's pretty drunk now. Also smokes too many cigarettes.
I'm drunk.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next one, which is Doctor Strange. He can do strange stuff, right? Magical stuff. And something that's also quite magical to me is the Web Bluetooth API. You can do marvelous things with that. I have an example here. We will use it later on. First, let me explain how it works. Also, it's not very well supported. Or again, Chrome on Android and Samsung Internet. So I left it out here, but just first check if it's available. If it's available, you can ask the navigator.bluetooth, well, show me the devices that are available. Don't do it this way, because I know a friend who did it on a conference talk, and I don't know, there were about 250 people there, all with Bluetooth phones. So you get a list with all the phones that are there. So what happened was that the whole browser just crashed. So what you do is, I know this is called a play bulb. So I filter on the play bulb. If I do that, I have to do one extra thing, that's hooking into a specific service, because otherwise it will not recognize it. After that, you can connect to it. If you connect to it, you will hook into what's called the primary service to get access to some features. There could be multiple services, but I chose this one just to send some colors to the bulb to enlight it. Each service has also a characteristic, so you have to search for this, or have a good friend called Niels who will do this for you. But you have to know what service and what characteristics you have to use. And after that, you can send a byte array, in this case where RGB stands for the RGB values. And you write it to the characteristic. So I hope the demo gods are with me. I'm going to connect to the play bulb. Yes, I pressed clear and it's clear. I'll get them now. Just to give you an example, I will use the random colors. It just changes randomly for your pleasure. Like I said, I hope you have your Twitter ready, and send me some tweets to browser APIs. You can send color names like red or green or something like that, or the RGB value or a hex. And yeah, we could do that, but that doesn't have any effect on this. So if anyone can send me a color. Thank you. It's red. Yeah. That's the only one who wants to participate. Rebecca Purple. Yeah, it's about Rebecca Purple, right? It's blue, yeah. I can stand here all night, no problem. Are you hungover already, Fabian? Okay. Mint. Ooh. Is that an official color? No, I don't think so. All right. Yellow. So you can do fun stuff with it. I'm not sure what's a really good example with it. I do also use this on a NativeScript talk, and I just tomato, yeah. I ask for the weather, the current weather in the location where I am, and then it will transfer that color in a range. So you can do stuff like that. I'm not sure if I go to the next slide if it's still working, but we'll see. This is the last one. It's not actually about a specific API, but it's Wonder Woman. She has a wide range of extraordinary skills. Man, what a language. So there are a lot of more other APIs that I didn't include tonight, because we could stand here for hours and hours. But you have for instance, the notifications API. That's that nice message on the right top we all love, right? Home screen installation together with the service work API. That's a hot thing, of course, now with the progressive web apps. Media capture, so you can do fun stuff, recording sound or with your webcam and make nice things with that. Device memory, you can check how much memory the device has, not how many available is, but how many it potentially has. Screen orientation and device orientation, you can use, for instance, for mobile devices to hook into that. Network information, if you're connected to a network, that's also a tricky one because it will not say it's connected to the internet, it will say it's connected to a network. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's connected to the internet. So you cannot rely on that, but you could make use of it. And I'm looking into that also. That's, I think, a creepy one, Web USB. You still have to give permission to use it, but it could actually connect to any USB device connected to your device. And with that, and I'm really looking forward to that movie. Now you can come. Dankeschön.
Well, as all good things and some terrible things have to end. I'm not meaning a talk, I mean that song.
Okay.
So I have to thank you very much. I think we can skip the Q&A because we now have a Q&A for a whole hour. So now we have this space until 10 o'clock. Be nice to each other, talk to each other. You know, it's btconf, it's all about talking to each other and getting to know each other rather than like sharing information and like being horrible to each other. So don't do that here, do that at other conferences, please. So I thank you very much for coming. I thank Rob, Amber, and I thank Eric and Rowdy for his talks and giving us all the information here. All the stuff will be available. The videos are shot, so they probably will come out sometime as well. So thanks for coming, and I see you tomorrow at btconf, bright and early. I'll be late and early, but you'll be bright and early. So have a great Beyond Tellerrand as every year in Düsseldorf. Thank you very much.
Thank you.